Hi guys, it's me, Danielle, Danny Buttons, and I'm back for part 3 of our picture from Fairytales by Emily Oberg. Part 1, we did our radish and our acorn. Part 2, we did our sweater and most of our fox, I guess half of our fox. Today, I'm going to start off with our suitcase. I think this will be 2 more parts, if I'm honest, but we'll find out together. I finally have looked up questions to talk about while I'm filming. So hooray, I've been talking about that for videos and after video, but I've done it. So I just asked YouTube. I asked Google for about me questions for YouTube. And they've given me a list of 371 questions. So I don't think we'll get through them all today, but we can start today. And it's pretty funny because the first question is, what's your full name? What? Sorry, YouTube, I'm not going to tell you my full name. I hope you are not disappointed. I'm sure at this point it's not that hard to figure out, but no reason to overshare in that way. So, question 2, though, is what does your name mean? And I do not know at all. I feel like I've looked it up before, but I can't remember right now, so it doesn't really have any special meaning to me. I'm pretty sure I was just named Danielle because it was popular in the late 80s and early 90s, and that's it. It's a French name, but we're not French, so that I don't think had anything to do with it. So, and it says, were you named after anyone? No. Again, I think that it was just a popular name. Technically, or the story goes that my dad named me because my mom was going to name me if I was a boy and my dad was going to get to name me if I was a girl, because if I was a boy and my dad got to name me, he wanted to name me after my grandpa, whose name was Rudolph, and my mother had none of that. So my dad named me Danielle. I almost always go by Danielle. I don't usually go by Danny, which is funny. Got a phone call, so that was fun. What was he saying? I would have been Rudolph if my dad named me and I was a boy. If my mom named me and I was a boy, I would have been either Michael or Anthony, because again, where's the creativity? I don't know. It was between Danielle or Jacqueline, and they thought it would be harder for me to learn how to spell Jacqueline, so they went with Danielle. Oh, I was saying that even though my nickname or my name on here is Danny Buttons, I am never called Danny in real life. Only my dad ever is really allowed to call me Danny, and it just feels weird from anyone else. I'm getting more used to it because obviously people tend to say that when they see my channel name. But usually I'm Danielle. Says, were you named after anyone? No, my first name isn't. My middle name is Louise. Little known fact. And that was after my great-grandma. So, which is funny. It's funny for a bouquet. One, me and at least one cousin are named Louise. Middle name Louise. So, like, what happened there that everyone decided to jump on that train? But 2, they found out later that my great-grandma's real full name was Louisa. So, it wasn't even Louise. And yet, we're all named Louise for her. So, I think that's funny. Does your name make any interesting anagrams? No. What? I've never really thought about that either, but I don't really want to right now. If you had to change your first name, what would you change it to? I think about this kind of thing a lot. But I think that I'm just going to stick with what I have because sometimes I don't like how I pronounce my own first name. Like, I've heard myself say it live, and I'm like, ugh, cringy. But I think everything happens for a reason. So this is my name because it's meant to be, and I don't need to go change it. I'm already, having a really hard time at the idea of having to change my last name when I get married. So I'm not going to go and change my first name too. Where are you from? Like, what are all these questions? All right. What color am I looking for? I just got distracted. I'm from New Jersey. I don't know if I really need to get more specific than that. But I guess I don't live there anymore, so I can. I used to live in Rutherford, which is very close to New York City, but in New Jersey still. But for instance, when 9/11 happened, you could see it from our town. So that was impactful, obviously, and intense. And that happened when I was in 7th grade. But that's how close to the city it is, and it's also one town over from the New York Giants, which I love the Giants. They're in East Rutherford. So you can also see their stadium from our town. So that's fun. But even though I lived very close to New York City, I don't really go into the city that much because I don't like crowds and public transportation. So that's 2 major parts of New York City. How's that looking? Not the worst. Maybe not the best, but not the worst. Let's see. No, that's not what I want. Uh-oh. I want to make it like golden. Should I go for sienna gold? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, so I never really go to the city that often because of the crowds and the public transportation. I do go to Broadway when I can, but I usually try to like get dropped off if possible. But then it's so frustrating because parking's so expensive. And like the tolls, good golly, the toll to get over the bridge is like $14, I think. That's what it was last time we went. That's too much. Like, it's crazy that some people have to do that every day for work. That's so much money when you add it all up. That's what my dad used to work in the city, and he would go every day, and he would always pay in cash, and then he would keep his leftover singles. So I guess he would break a 20 every day. He had like hundreds of dollars by the end of the year with just his singles that were left over. Because it's just a lot. I don't know. Oh. What's the next question? Where did you grow up? We said that. But I liked Rutherford. It was really a nice town. There were nice people. It was pretty... I wish now, like now that I'm older, that I participated more in town things growing up. Because it definitely had a small town vibe without being super small. So like, they had street fairs and they had different parades and all this fun events that I never really did. And I wish I did do. Maybe I'll do some more green to bring it over here. Sure. I'm gonna go back to my leaf green buddy. So, I wish that I participated more, but whatever. Can't go back now. You can only change what you do going forward. So, like, I just went to my new town's library sale the other day, and they have a town-wide garage sale. So that's fun. We went to like the carnival. Okay. Who did you look up to growing up? I don't remember specifically looking up to anyone. I don't know if that's terrible or realistic. I mean, my parents, I guess, of course. But I never, like, was a person that had even celebrity crushes or anything like that. I just kind of did my own thing. I don't know. I can't think of anyone specific besides my parents that I would have looked up to. What are your best characteristics? How do I answer that? I don't know. I am organized when I need to be. See, I feel like I'm not always organized. I'm humble. I'm too humble to answer this question. No, I am funny. I think I'm really funny. I don't know if you think I'm funny, because I don't know if I'm funny on screen, but I have people laughing a lot over here, and that's pretty cool. Which of your parents are you more like? So, my mother passed away when I was 12. So, I don't really know if I would still be like her, because it's hard to tell, because obviously both of us have changed or would have changed in the past years. So I am basically twins with my father, though. Our personalities are the exact same. I don't really understand how Sam deals with both of us, because we're ridiculous. And we both will say things at the same time. Like, we actually twin. We know what each other's thinking. We again, literally, like, the dog was jumping from the, we have like, what is it called? Beanbag chair type thing. So we have this beanbag, and she was trying to jump from the beanbag to the bed. And the beanbag is really hard to jump from because it moves with your body. So she jumped and she hit her back legs on the bed. She's 100% fine. But at the exact same time, we both are like, oh no, are you okay? In that tone, the same time, the same inflection, it was nuts. Sam's in the other room like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And I was like, you didn't come look to see if she was okay. And he's like, I could tell by your voice that you were both being dramatic and that she was fine. So we say the same jokes. It's a lot. So, yeah, I feel bad for Samuel. What do you call your grandparents? I'm kind of skipping around because, again, there's apparently hundreds of questions, and we don't have that much time, especially in this video, which is only going to be half an hour long. But now I don't remember how much time happened before I got my phone call, so we'll see how close to half an hour this video ends up being. But I want to say this question because there's a funny story. Well, on my mom's side, my grandpa died before I was born, and my grandmother passed away when I was 7, I want to say. So we used to just call her grandma and then her last name, or to her face grandma. But if we were like talking about her, we'd be like grandma last name. I don't want to give that away either. So insert her last name. You understand. But my grandparents on my dad's side had fun nicknames. For a while, I called my grandma Malamar, and I don't know why at this point. I think, like, I never knew what a Malamar, the snack, was, and I, like, saw a picture, and then I just called her Malamar. But we went bowling with my grandpa, and we each wrote our names on our scorecard. And he accidentally wrote Grandpa instead of Grandpa. I think he just like didn't finish his little line. I don't know. It was a mistake, but an easy mistake to make. No big deal. So then we started calling him Grandpa, which we eventually shortened to Mo. And to Mo. We shortened Grandpa to Mo. We shortened Grandpa to Poe. And then obviously with Poe came Mo. So we called my grandparents Poe and Mo. And I think that's pretty cute. And hopefully one day, when I have kids, my father will want to be called Poe also. But we'll see. So, yes, now I have no grandparents left, unfortunately. It's sad, because I really enjoyed all of my grandparents that I knew. My grandma, last name, is one of the original people that taught me how to be dramatic. Because she was always like, I think she had lung cancer, I want to say, because she was a very heavy smoker. So she was pretty bedridden for most of my time knowing her. So when I would visit her, she would stay in the bed, and I would obviously like go around and do whatever. So we would play like restaurant a lot, and I would come take her order and then go get a plate and bring it back empty. Oh, I think the mail is here. One moment, please. She's so loud. Noodles. Yeah, so I would take her order and get a fake or an empty plate and bring it to her, and like literally just take the order and leave and bring a plate back repeatedly. There was no other steps to that. So I would just take her order continuously. And then we would play director. And she would sit on the couch and with her hands make like a old school motion, like as if she was holding the camera that she was cranking. And I would be like sitting on the stairs and reading a book or whatever. And then she'd go bang and pretend to shoot me. And then I would die dramatically. And that's how we played. So she'd be like bang, and I'd be like and I'd crawl along the floor until I finally kicked the bucket, I guess. So she taught me how to be dramatic. And that's either the funniest thing or like the saddest thing. I don't know. But I enjoyed it at the time. So that's what we would do with our time together. It just makes me laugh even thinking about it now, because what? Who does that? I don't know what colors to do. I really am leaning towards blue again, but again, I don't know if that's too bright. So, the next question is, are your grandparents still married? Like I said, they are all gone now, but while they were around, they were all married. It was very sad because my grandmother passed away in 2016, and 2006, and she was supposed to last until 2007, because she always said that, because I'm the oldest of her grandchildren, and I graduated high school in 2007. So she always said that she wanted to make it until I graduated, so she would see her first grandchild graduate, and also I would have graduated in June, and in May would have been their 50th wedding anniversary. So that was her goal, but unfortunately didn't make it. So that was sad. But she also was a very heavy smoker and passed away from lung-related issues. So if you are a smoker and you want to quit, keep trying, because it is not pleasant to not be able to breathe. And it was not pleasant to have to watch her not be able to breathe. So I used to, she had oxygen in the house. So she had Big Bertha, which she was just attached to the machine that stayed in the kitchen. And she had like a 30-foot cord that she could walk around. And then she had traveling ones for when we went out. And she originally had the big tanks that you had to roll after you that looked like helium tanks. But eventually she got this compact one. And it was actually pretty cool in general. So it was the size of, you can't see my hands because it's bigger than the size of the screen. But it was almost like a little shoulder bag, like a crossbody purse that you had to fill before you went out, and then you would get 3 or 4 hours of oxygen in there. But to fill it, there was a ginormous canister in their living room that had like 10 or 20 fillings worth inside the canister. So you had to like fill it like a balloon, and you put the canister or the backpacky thing on the canister and like pressed, and it went shh, and it filled up. And then she could go about for the day. But it was really cool, but also it only lasted a few hours. So I remember like we would get power outages. So I would stay up with her all night with the power outage, and we'd fill it every few hours. But yeah, my grandma was like my best friend, because we used to watch TV together. We would watch Diagnosis Murder, Murder, She Wrote, ER. We would watch just everything. And my grandmother loved the computer. She played like Yahoo games. So she was always playing bingo and like Dynamite, if you remember from Yahoo games. And she was just really funny. Because, like, if you win in bingo, everyone would be like, good game, good game. So she'd be like, TYAVM, GGE1, GLNG. And that was like, thank you all very much. Good going this game. Good luck next game, or whatever. And it was just like, what is going on? And she would type that all out. And her name was, Pooter Granny, Puter, Granny. So it was funny. Yeah. So that's that story. I'm really enjoying these questions. You'll have to let me know if you like it, because I find that I am not getting as distracted, and I'm actually talking instead of just telling you about my colors, which it's fine to talk about your colors if you're teaching somebody, but when you're just randomly coloring, I don't know. So I think we're getting close to 30 minutes though, so I'm going to finish this up, and then the next video we're just going to finish no matter what. But what is your biggest accomplishment? That's hard. I don't know. The first thing that jumped into my head, I hope is not really my biggest accomplishment, but I guess I can talk about it. In high school, I used to be an academic decathlon. And I loved academic decathlon. And basically, it was just what it sounds like. It was a club that we studied and took quizzes, and there was competitions, and there were 10 categories. So there was music, literature, it was arts and literature. So music, arts and literature, science, math, economics, speech, interview, super quiz, which would change every year what the topic was. What are the other two? Oh my goodness, it's been too long. I just don't remember what I said too. So that's rough. But there were 10 categories. And we would study all year for the tests. And it was like my favorite thing in high school. Obviously, all the studying wasn't necessarily my favorite part of it. But just like when you meet kids that study for fun, like they're all going to get along. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all very similar, that we all want to study in our free time. But it was just so much fun. And I actually was so involved that I won. My teacher gave me MVP my junior year. And I consider that one of my greatest accomplishments because he had never given a junior MVP before. But I was like so involved and so dedicated. And I like organized the meetings, extra meetings. And I just was at every meeting. And I don't know if that's nerdy. I loved, yeah. So we did the 10 categories. And the hardest ones were like speech and interview. So I, though, very much credit that with my ability to speak now. Because as I've mentioned many times at this point, I've always had bad anxiety. So speech and interview were the hardest for me because of my anxiety, obviously. But the things I learned, I now still help me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I know like the format of how to make a speech on the spot. We would have to do a 4-minute prepared speech, and then we would have to do a 2-minute on the spot speech that they would literally give you 3 categories and you got to pick, and you got 5 minutes to prepare, and then you had to do your speech right there. So the strategies I learned to do those speeches still help me today if I'm ever in a situation that I have to speak. And I know for me particularly, practicing speech was one of the like categories I focused on the most. And I actually like came in 4th one year, which was pretty good. I went from like coming in 30th at regionals to 4th at states. And obviously states is harder in general. So I'm going to talk more about academic decathlon in my next episode. I think I'm at 30 minutes or more because I'm at 25 minutes in this segment, but I know I got interrupted, right? I hope. So let me zoom out so you can see the whole picture. I'm still using my Inktense. I'm going to zoom us in. I think I'm going to work on the tea bag. Oh, all right. Yeah, academic decathlon. So I started to talk about this in the last video. Basically, academic decathlon was a club in high school that we spent all year studying different things for competitions. And we would go to 2 competitions a year. We would go to regionals, which was just like our county. And then we made it to states every year. I was a member. And every year I was in the club, we got better and better. And I think a year or 2 after I graduated, they made it to nationals, which is super awesome for them. But also I'm really jealous because I wish we made it to nationals. So, what it is it's basically 10 different categories that we study and take tests on. So there's like 6 multiple choice physical tests, and that would be in art, music, language arts, science, economics, and math. And then there was 3 like special categories. So that was sorry, I'm trying to actually paint. We did an essay, an interview, and a speech. And then every year there was a super quiz, which was basically either science or social studies. It actually flip-flopped each year. And that was like a live, like what you probably would think of academic decathlon when you hear it. So the 6 I mentioned were written quizzes, and then super quiz was actually in front of an audience all at the same time. They would put the question on the board, you'd answer, there'd be people like watching you answer to make sure you weren't like changing your answer, obviously. And then they would give you the answers right away, and you raise your hand if you're right, and your whole team cheers for you, and it's like ridiculously awesome. So that was academic decathlon. But what was so amazing about it is like just the ideas it taught you really have stayed with me for my whole life, or my life thus far. Obviously, my whole life isn't over, so I can't really say my whole life yet. But for speech, for instance, we had to do a 4-minute prepared speech, and then we had to do a 2-minute on the spot speech. They would give us 3 topics, and you would have to pick a topic, and they gave you 5 minutes, and you had an index card with you that you could kind of take notes, and you just had to go. And your speech was supposed to be 2 minutes, but you didn't have a timer or anything, so you just kind of had to know how long you were talking and like the format of the speech, so you would get the right length. And speech was like the scariest thing, because you were allowed 1 Post-it during your 4-minute speech, but my coach didn't want us to use it. He's like, this is how we're going to like go above and beyond. We're not going to use a Post-it. So we had to fully memorize our 4-minute speech. And then that random speech was terrifying because you never knew what category or what you were going to get. I remember one of my speeches, I had to say, like, talk about what my favorite month was and why. I remember speeches that were like, if you were a hat, what type of hat would you be? I remember, I don't remember much more than that right now. It was a long time ago, but it was exciting and scary. And then interview, we learned how to interview with people, which obviously that can be very useful. 1 second, what color should I do my cup? I'm afraid to bring in blues. Yikes. Because I don't really have anywhere else to bring in the blue. I might make this match that. You can't see because I'm zoomed in. What do I do? I'm sorry. I'm distracting myself from my wonderful academic decathlon talk. I'm gonna bring him blue and go against my better judgment, maybe. What color is that? Green, aquamarine? Sure. Let's see. Yeah, sure. Anyway, yeah, interview. It was 3 people, judges, and then they would just interview you. So they would ask you different questions that you had to answer on the spot. So you had to know how to answer without saying So that's why if I think about it really hard, I can usually avoid to say I don't always think about it that hard when I'm doing my videos, because I don't know if you guys mind if I say a lot, but I know how to not. And we would have to come up with the answers on the spot, and I always made them laugh, but I think in part it was because I was so awkward. But you know what? I got the good score, so it didn't matter to me. I had to talk about, they would ask what country you wanted to go to and why. They would ask different things about like what you wanted to do when you were older. It was just how you can come up with answers on the fly. So I said I would go back to Italy. Well, actually go to Italy, because at the time I had not gone to Italy. But I said I would go to Italy because my grandpa is Italian and loves all things Italy, and that I would take pictures of all my food and show him and tell him about it. And then I actually did that, which was nice. So that was interview. And then essay, I don't even remember essay. Essay was all random, and that was like one of the worst categories. So we just tried our hardest to get an essay done. That's not what our school focused on. Each year there would be an overall topic. So I remember one year was the Renaissance. One year we did Chinese empires. I'm not in screen, I'm sorry. And so everything would be about that theme. So for instance, the China year, we read, wow, I'm blanking real hard now that I've said it. So I'm going to skip that one. For the Renaissance, we read Shakespeare. And we read... No, did we read Shakespeare? I'm getting jumbled. Pause. Zoop. Start over. We would read a book based on the topic and have to study that. We would hear music from the time period and have to study that. And we would have artwork from the time period and have to study that. So that was those 3 categories. I actually just looked it up before I started this video, and apparently this year they're doing the 1960s, which that's really intriguing. But okay. So I guess they're going to be reading and listening to music from the 60s, which sounds like fun. So cool for them. Then my school, the reason we didn't do great for a while is we never focused so much on economics and math, because that was the topics that didn't change. So it was the same stuff every single year, but that was hard. They weren't giving you age appropriate math and economics. They were giving you advanced stuff. So the team consists of 9 people, and then there's backups. So 9 people, their score is going to count, and then backups. And it was a 3 A students, 3 B students, and 3 C students. And that was basically what your average was, depending on certain classes in school, what your GPA was. So people who are considered C students and getting C-level grades, like, it's hard to do economics. It's hard to do economics if you're getting A-level grades, honestly. So, yes, 1 second. Okay. Oh, that's too dark. I'm not even on screen. Again, I'm sorry. I just wanted to do this for down there, and then I got distracted and did it up here instead. Yeah, so in the years I was in the club, we didn't really focus on the math or the economics because it was just really hard. But then as we started to get better, I think they started to focus on that more, and that's how they started to succeed. So, but Super Quiz was the most exciting school-related thing ever in the world because it was live. Everyone was watching your scores. So you'd see all the teams would go at once, and you'd see what place you were in right there. And I remember my senior year, we won. And oh my goodness, I cried so much. So we would get the competitions, and then a few weeks later we would have the awards that you would get your scores for everything. And that was always extremely nerve-wracking too, because obviously you tried so hard and practiced for forever, for the whole year, for this one competition that you wanted to do good. So I won a bunch of awards in my day, including the teacher appointed MVP for that year, my junior year. I'm ruining this. That's all right. That's the hard part about Inktense, is that, like, this is stuck now. It's done. You can't really move that around anymore. But that's okay. We're still just learning. So. Yeah. So now I like to think that I can still interview in a pinch and still give speeches in a pinch. I do not enjoy it. I'm not going to like ask to give a speech, but I can do it if I have to. And that's pretty cool and super useful. So I'm very thankful to Academic Decathlon. Oh, and as I was saying in the last group, you had kids that are considered C students that are spending their free time studying. So if you were the type of person that was into that, that's the best place for you, because obviously so is everyone else. So it's like a really good place to make friends, because we were all similar in a good way. I was thinking of matching my sweater. What do you think? I'm trying to like figure out how to balance around my page, or if I just want to match the sweater. I might just match the sweater. Let's see what color this is. See, I'm saying a lot right now, and I'm very aware of it since I was just talking about it. So, whoopsie-doo. But, yeah. I loved Academic Decathlon. I miss it. It was just a good time. It was also cool, too. I had a relatively good high school experience. And I say relatively because obviously there were moments that were not good, because it was 4 years. So no matter what, there's going to be moments, but also because it was high school. So everyone's angsty, whatever. But my grade, like all the kids I graduated with, were really nice kids. I don't think I really ever had any trouble with anyone in my grade particularly. I had a lot of trouble with the grade above me and below me, but never my grade. So back to Academic Decathlon, we as a team, I think, were very courteous, and we were very friendly. I don't know if that's even the right way to put it, but for instance, we would win medals at the award show, put them on, take the pictures, whatever, and then when we sat down, we would take them back off. Because obviously everyone who's at that show tried really hard. You can't do Academic Decathlon without trying. So we didn't want to rub it in other people's faces that we had awards and they didn't. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty awesome, because you'd see some kids go up there and they would have like all their awards on at the same time, and they'd be like jiggling them together and really just showing off. But we didn't rub it in anyone's faces, and I thought that was really awesome. But then we would wear them to school the next day, and that was also really awesome because we worked hard. So, but I think my school in general was always very good with like sportsmanship. That's really what I'm looking for. Because I remember once I went to like the girls volleyball team, or girls volleyball game. I was not a volleyball player, but my friend was. So I went to watch one of her games, and the other team was just jerks. Like, they were taunting. They refused to shake hands at the end. Oh, it was like disgusting. Like, really, one thing we were always taught was how to be good sports. And like, it was not pleasant to watch that other team. So I pride myself on good sportsmanship, also thanks to Academic Decathlon. So, our competitions would be like Saturdays, and it would be all day events. We would have to get on the bus at like 6 a.m. and then we would compete all day long. And then usually we would go out to like a team dinner afterwards. But it was a long day. It'd be like a 16-hour day. But I mean, when you're in high school, that's not a big deal. But when you're taking tests all day, it's kind of a big deal. So, and it was funny because all of the like judges and coaches coaches were teachers from the schools, but the judges and moderators were all like parents who came to help. So once I had my uncle come, like, because each team's supposed to bring volunteers. So I asked my uncle, and he did it, and he was late. So, like, his class accidentally got extra time, and their whole timing was off. So I think some of them, like, missed lunch, and everyone was real mad at him because it's very serious. But luckily, he just had an alternate room, not a score that counts. The alternates also won awards, but they won awards compared to other alternates, not compared to the quote regulars. But I was an alternate my first year, but I enjoyed being an alternate my first year because I kind of got to learn what the competition was, you know what I mean? So then second and third year, I knew what was going on a little bit more. Senior year, I actually came in 4th in the state in my category. I was a B category student, which my teacher was so happy about because I came in 4th in the state. So he's like, does anyone want to tank their grades and be C students? And then obviously you all test well. But no one did that for him. So. One second, coughing off screen. Whew. So yes, I think that they're doing the 60s, like I said. That should be really exciting and weird because that seems too modern, but hey, fun for them. I have to imagine some coaches are from the 60s. So, get insider information over like the young coaches. I don't know what foxes look like, guys. I still don't know. I'm just winging it. Should I do a little bit of color on the tail? This is scary. Oh my gosh. Is that cute? What do I do? I'm just gonna give him like a black eye. What about his eyelids? What color did I leave out? Ooh. Oh my. I didn't clean off my brush as well as I thought I did. Okay, there we go. So now I'm gonna zoom you back out. And all we have left are these background leaves. Cool. What color should we do them? I'm thinking maybe back to my leaf or fern green. I really like that leaf green for fall season. Ooh, sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. Fern, we'll try fern. Or maybe I'll do both. No, I probably will not do both. You know what? Let's go back to my questions. Okay. So, I hope you enjoyed my discussion about academic decathlon. If you or anyone you know has the opportunity to join academic decathlon, I highly recommend it. But back to my other questions that I found on Google. What is my biggest fear? This is a loaded question because as a human with anxiety, I fear a lot of stuff. Yikes. So I'm very, very afraid of birds, which I've mentioned before. I just don't trust them. I don't want to be around them. I've had a lot of bad experiences with them. I'm pretty afraid of being alone. Like, it's daytime right now, but if it was nighttime, I'd be freaking out. So, I mean, I guess I do have Noodles, but sometimes Noodles almost makes it worse because she'll bark at something I can't see, and I'll be like, what is it, Noodles? What's out there? So that's fun. And then I'm afraid... I want to say I'm afraid of the dark, but it's more like if I'm alone in the dark. So I'm like afraid of... Yeah, it's just being alone. I'm having a rough time in cars right now. I get very nervous in the car. I just don't trust other people when we're driving, because that's what my dad is always like, I'm a good driver. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But if you're the best driver in the world and the guy next to you is the worst, it doesn't really matter that you're the best. So, So those are some of my fears. I could have a whole episode on just that. Okay, skipping a few. Let's see. Who is your favorite actress, actor, or celebrity, musician? Stuff like that. Who are your favorite famous people? I don't really care about famous people. Yeah, I don't really follow anyone famous. I love Michael Phelps. He's the swimmer for the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I watch like hours and hours and hours and hours of Olympics a day because I'll watch 5 screens at once on different sports. So it'll be like swimming on one screen and then gymnastics on the next screen, then track and field on the next screen. So I used to have a Michael Phelps calendar when I was younger. So I guess he's my closest thing to a celebrity crush. But, yeah, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I'm nosy enough, so I'll like, if the topic comes around, I like to know who's married to who and whatever, but I don't seek it out, you know? It sometimes just weirds me out because they're just people too. So, I don't know. What's my favorite person in the world? This is always hard because it's very hard to choose between Samuel and my dad because they are the 2 most important people in my life. And I enjoy them for different reasons. So I can't pick between them. What is your favorite childhood memory? That seems like a loaded question. I'm going to skip that because we're almost out of leaves. So maybe that will be where we start next time. So an easy one to end with, what is your favorite color? My favorite color is purple. It has been purple for about 20 years. I used to hate pink and girly things, and now I like pink a lot, but I don't like red, but I love purple. So my favorite colors are purple, yellow, and gray. I love gray. Gray is definitely my favorite neutral, and I love it. Gray, I think, is my father's favorite color too, or at least it used to be. So gray's underrated as a favorite color. There we go. We did it. And this is even in under 30 minutes. So thank you so much for watching our 4-part series on this page. That might be a little excessive. Do you think I should combine parts 3 and 4? Because I haven't posted anything yet. I'll think about it. This is possibly the end of an hour-long episode. So if that's true, I apologize. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching anyway, though. Subscribe to see more from me, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.